the Spirit speak. Through war and wilderness, through fear and brokenness, we come together. Lift us up when the world has lost its shine. Focus us when we're nearly out of time. Guide us when there are dragons left to slay. Call us when we've clearly lost our way. Cradle us when we feel we don't belong. Give us strength when our sinew has all gone. Bring us rest as we weary through the night. Touch us now and bring us into light. Oh, this journey, this mirage of time. So rugged, the climb. This rolling sweet ride, oh, so tender, we all are inside. Meet us in the chaos of our lives. Challenge us at the crossroads of our strife. Help us cope when we do not get our way in this night, and lead us into day. Lead us into day.
Yeah. There's something about being in the presence of music. There's something about being in the presence of that vibration. There's something about being in the presence of something actually happening. And whether it's music or nature or tulips coming up and sharing their yellow glory with us, or it's the birds singing, the motorcycles whizzing. Whatever that is, to be present to it is such a blessing. Such a blessing. So let's just experience that blessing now. Whether you're watching on your small screen, medium-sized screen, big screen, or here in the room, be present to where you are and be present to the blessing. I had a revelation. It was a personal revelation. It wasn't a revelation like a lottery number or what's going to happen in a year. It was a personal revelation that everything is already given. And it's our job as human beings to wake up to that blessing. So I bless this evening, I bless us together, whether we are virtual or in person. I bless. I'm so grateful, and so it is. Wow, we haven't had people in a long time. Wow, almost feels decadent in here. But did you feel the music? Isn't that so fun? And the reason I said it's too loud is I think we've always had them balancing things up there, and I could hardly hear the singer. So we're new at this. We're new at people in the room, and Guy's not working his magic. Woo-hoo, how exciting. We have to learn how to do things all over again. It's like fun. Yes. It's either fun or not. So I'm choosing fun. I want to introduce you to this evening if you haven't been to a Good Friday service before. This is where I think the action is. I love this. This is one of my favorite services. I've loved it when it sort of popped in my mind. Because Easter is a result of work that was done. Our being lifted up into a new state of consciousness or overcoming obstacles is the result of work that was done. So whenever you feel like you're doing any type of spiritual work, expect a result. Expect a result because your work has been done. So that's the sort of the prelude to what I'm going to talk about in a bit. But I will say that whether you are here or we are on your screen, we're in your space. If you're in this space or we're in your space, this is a meditation, but it's interactive. I'm going to ask you to do things. I'm going to ask you to participate. I'm going to ask you to enter into a holy story. Because for millennia, people entered into a holy story, a holy tale. And in that entering in, they were blessed by the story. So the story wasn't something that happened. For them, when they were entering into the story was happening. It was a happening. And all I know is that I've been entering into this story, been a part of this story for a while because I've been working with some ministers, and we started a long time ago to enter into the story of the Gospel of John that was illumined, or I should say, illumined. Light was brought to that story by Emma Curtis Hopkins, and we've entered into it assuming that we are the characters in that story. And I'm going to kind of wrap it up because I've given 4 talks on 2 Sundays. I'm going to kind of wrap it up this time. But I'm going to ask you to kind of enter into it, to let it be your story so that you can have the happy ending. Now, it doesn't sound like a happy ending, but it was a happy ending. Because if we can overcome circumstances and totally free ourselves of limitations, that's a very happy ending. So I just want to share a few things with you. Just the study of Jesus has been amazing. And here are some things that I've learned. And maybe you got them from my talks, but I think they're worth going over again. First of all, Jesus, Buddha, not sure about Lao Tzu, but I know Muhammad, they all had a posse. It's worth having a group of people that support you in your spiritual development and that will love you when you're on top of the world and love you when you are not on top of the world. It's important. Also, that it is important to seek first that kingdom, to seek the connection, the conscious connection with God. We're always connected to God because that's all there is to be connected to. But to be conscious of it, to seek a conscious creation, a conscious idea of God, an experience of God, to seek that, all else shall be added. And we are to follow the path of love instead of the need for approval. How's that sound? How many of you? I mean, that was like, oh, baby. Because Jesus had to go up against other people's approval all the time. And what he would ask is, I will do what I'm being told to do from the inside out. And I'm centered in love. I will act out of love. And you may not agree, but I've got to act that way. The other thing that was really big for me this time, because every time I read a story, I get a different slant or version of it. And this time, what I really got was rest when you need to. That's the real story for me of the woman in Samaria, or him traveling and getting so tired that he just had to stop. He said, you guys go on and bring back something because I can't go any further. We have permission to stop and rest, to just hang out for a while and be refreshed from within and be refreshed from without. So that's important. Also, to give thanks, to look up, and to realize that if we're called to do something, that which called us will also provide the way for us to do that. So how many of you have refused a calling because you couldn't figure out how it was going to happen? And that's none of our business. If we are called, take one step, and then the path becomes clear. And then the last one that I haven't talked about, but it's really been coming up for me, is that when Jesus was accused by the temple authorities and then by Pilate, he didn't try to explain his position. Now, why? Because they'd already found him guilty in their mind. And I realize that so many times we want to have people understand us so they won't think ill of us. And guess what? We can't change their minds. How many of you have tried to change somebody's mind? How many of us have watched in the news and watched what's going on, and people are trying to change other people's minds? Has it worked? No. And Jesus said, whatever. I'm paraphrasing. Whatever. You're going to think of me what you think of me. I'm not going to give my energy to proving myself. God will prove itself through me. And by their fruits ye shall know me. So, those are some of the things that that I've been going through, learning from, and now it gets really tough because the end is near. This is what, I was so busy today. I was going to look up why they would even call this Good Friday, but I went horseback riding, and we have 5 acres. And I was riding all over with 2 different horses, and then I got into the house and realized I did not have my cell phone. And it had been in my pocket, so I spent a lot of today walking 5 acres looking for my cell phone. So a lot of the things I was going to do didn't get done, but why call it Good Friday? It doesn't sound like a good part of the story, but we'll leave that there. But all that he went through, and all that we go through, because the idea from Emma Curtis Hopkins is that if we're really going to allow Jesus to be an example, we have to see what we're doing in our life that is similar to his life, even though the country's different, the continent's different, the people are different, the language is different, the age is different, and yet so much of it is common human experience. Common human experience. And some of it was glorious and some of it wasn't. And how many of you have had that happening? Some of it's glorious and some of it isn't. And so if you're watching on this small screen, medium-sized screen, or big screen, then let's do some action. Let's get into this. How many have noticed that life has all sorts of experiences? Some of it's great, and some of it's not so great. And the thing that allows us to move through that, the thing that allowed him, I think, to move through that is because he sought that conscious connection with God, and the highest name for God is love. And love is that which doesn't deliver us from something, but it certainly is with us as we go through something. So I'm going to ask you some questions tonight that may not be pleasant or comfortable. So let's set it up right now that which is in us and around us and through us will allow us to look at anything, think of anything, heal anything. We get by because Spirit has us. We're not alone. We've never been alone. We can't be alone. So we have a song from LaVon.
Every time I tried to make it on my own, every time I tried to stand and start to fall, and all those lonely roads that I have traveled on, there was Spirit. When the life I built came crashing to the ground, when the friends I had were nowhere to be found, I couldn't see it then, but I can see it now. There was Spirit. In the waiting, in the searching, in the healing and the hurting, like a blessing buried in the broken pieces. Every minute, every moment, where I've been and where I'm going, even when I didn't know it or couldn't see it, there was Spirit. For this woman who needs amazing kind of grace, for forgiveness at a price I couldn't pay. I'm not perfect, so I thank God every day. There was Spirit. In the waiting, in the searching, in the healing and the hurting, like a blessing buried in the broken pieces. Every minute, every moment, where I've been and where I'm going, even when I didn't know it or couldn't see it, there was Spirit. Was Spirit on the mountain, in the valley. There was Spirit. In the waiting, in the searching, in the healing and the hurting, like a blessing buried in the broken pieces. Every minute, every moment, where I've been and where I'm going, even when I didn't know it or couldn't see it, there was Spirit. There was Spirit. There was Spirit.
I listened to that, and I'm going to have a reprise of that in a minute, when I listened to that, at least 5 things came to mind where the outcome could have been so different, and I could have handled it so differently. And all I can think of is, man, something was there. Now allow yourself to think of what has happened to you, whether it's recently or a year ago. I remember driving one of those quads. You might have been there, Mike Thorson. I don't know. It was in Mexico when we were all stupid and driving those quad things that had never been probably serviced forever. And this one quad kept pulling over to like going like this, and we were going up a road, but there was a sheer cliff on that side, and it kept going this way and going this way. And for some silly reason, I couldn't get it to stop, and yet it got right to the edge of the cliff, and it just died. When I wrecked my RX, and the bags didn't go off, I mean, it was totally totaled. And the car in front, not a scratch. Nothing. Nothing. What the? How could I not believe in something? Now, I don't know that it's always shown up for me, and there's times that I wish it would show up more, and yet, if it has ever done that, if it's ever been in our life, it's always in our life. We just need the eyes to see. Are we willing to have the eyes to see the miracles that are always around us? Because Spirit is right where we are. And I have been, how many of you last year have had some moods? I mean, I had moods. I had bitchy moods and sorrowful moods and poor me moods and I'm bored moods and what's ever going to happen to us moods, and it didn't matter. You know what? I didn't stay there long because all I had to do was look up and do my mantra, and that cloud dissipated. See, sometimes it's huge, like not falling off a cliff, and sometimes it's just like, wow, I'm so grateful I didn't talk to people while I was in that mood. How many of you have been saved that way? It happens. Because there's always Spirit.
In the waiting, in the searching, in the healing and the hurting, like a blessing buried in the broken pieces. Every minute, every moment, where I've been and where I'm going, even when I didn't know it or couldn't see it, there was Spirit. There was Spirit.
You know, it's one thing to know that there's some people that won't approve of you and or agree with you or understand you or anything. And to not take it personally. It's another thing when those closest to you turn on you, which is what's happening now in this story, because Jesus was accused by the temple authorities, and he was accused by Pilate. they didn't understand him. They couldn't understand what he was up to, but he'd been with a bunch of people for 3 years. And it was hard to be betrayed by a close associate and to be renounced and abandoned by others. Rejection is tough when you love the person that is rejecting you. It was probably also a reciprocal thing because they probably thought that he should have been doing something and he was rejecting what they thought. It was, how convoluted can it get? But so here's the story. I just love this story. The man who's all about love, who's gone around healing, who's taken care of a bunch of people, who's never done anything hateful or spiteful that we know in the story because we're walking the story, people still betray and reject him. And I was up there meditating, and what came to me is, it's because it's the human nature. It's human nature to reject at times. It's human nature to push back, to be afraid, to not live up to the expectations of others. It's human nature. And it hurts. And then Spirit has to be with us again. Once again, Spirit's got to be there. Once again, we have to find that within ourselves. To do what Jesus did, which is, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. But to do that and not have it be a blah, blah, blah. How many of you have always said how many of you have ever found yourself saying something really spiritual, saying the right thing, but there was no feeling in it? It's like, bless you. Oh, forgive them. Oh, that happens when we're not willing to really feel it. To feel what it's like for somebody to turn on us and we don't understand why. And we were so close. That's tough. And so there's a song that kind of, I think, touches that, because I want you to touch that. I'm going to get you through this, but right now I would like you to remember someone or ones they just left, called you names, talked about you behind your back and in front of you. And so, whether you're watching on the screen or you're in the room, because the room, we haven't got the thing going here. I want some mojo. If you can think of somebody that you feel like you were rejected by or renounced by or betrayed by, just raise one little finger. If you've got a bunch, raise a bunch of fingers. Because the forgiveness work has to come from a place of passion, a place of feeling. So we'll do the forgiveness work, but first, who would that be?
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long way from home, a long way from home.
What can happen is that we can be so filled with sorrow or wondering, like, what did I do? And why are they saying that? And it can be so painful that space in which we can experience love, it's almost like it gets filled up with tears. And then we regret. We regret we ever knew them. And we spend way too much time wondering what we did that we could have made it different, which keeps us out of the present moment. But I love that line, a long way from home, and here's the truth, we can never be away from our spiritual home. That spiritual center within us is alive and well. So I want you to just breathe into your heart space. Breathe into that place that remembers love, has always known love. That place where Jesus was thinking so much about those that did show up and those he loved. He was trying to take care of them. He was coming from overflowing love, even though people said, I don't know him, and his followers dispersed. And one of his best friends turned him in. And yet he was coming from love. And if he is the example, we can always do that. So allow yourself to know, no. Let the Holy Spirit reveal to you a love and a peace that passes understanding. It doesn't make human sense. Human sense is about, well, let's talk it out. The spiritual way is that it just is, but we have to touch it. So allow yourself to know that love, that kind of love. Sweet Spirit, I ask, I declare that the spirit of love is being made known within the hearts of every person in this room and watching. That the spirit of love, that power, that ultimate creative expression of life, that love is now being felt. And in that love, there is no need to get back. There's no need to seek approval. There's no need. Instead, there's just the overflowing givingness of God, which is forgiveness. Which is forgiveness. So think of the person, the people, the whatevers that you feel have betrayed you or rejected you or made you wrong. And let the Spirit of God let you see them with the eyes of love. They won't change. You don't have to change. Just let love in the picture. Let Spirit in the picture. And let God and love and all that is right reveal to you that Spirit's still here and miracles are still happening. And in your heart of hearts, simply say, I give forth my love. For it is not my love that I give forth, but the presence, the power, and the love of God. It flows through me. And I am healed. And I am full. And I am giving. And I am the place where a blessing happens. I'm the place where a blessing happens. And if you're in my presence, I'll bless you. If you're far away, I'll bless you, because I can't keep the blessings from flowing out through me, because I'm accepting God's love in this moment. Not approval, not I'm sorry. I'm accepting God's love in this moment. And so it is. So actually, Jesus then performed a miracle. Don't have to wait till Easter for this one. Jesus performed a miracle. See, the Romans had worked hard and discovered, invented the most painful and slow way of killing someone that they could do. See, if you give them too much pain, the mind will just turn things off and you'll die. I mean, and if you could be really crushing and it could just, you're gone. But they decided that if you really made them mad, they would kill you, but they would kill you slow. And the cross was the way. And so you kind of died of hunger and you died of pain, but you were supported in just enough that you couldn't just die quick. In fact, they'd even give you water to drink so you wouldn't die of thirst. Of course, it was vinegar, but still. And yet Jesus was on the cross for, I don't know, some people have said 3 hours, but he just got up there and was like, no, this is painful. I'm not suffering no more. I'm out of here. That was a miracle. I am done with this story. I've got a new chapter that I'm moving on to. Oh, and by the way, you thief, you can come with me. Now, that was a second miracle. So after saying goodbye to his mother and saying, hey, John, take care of Mom, and you women, I love you, and not saying, oh, and Father, forgive them, they know not what they do, instead of, I'm going to come back and get you. None of that stuff. I'll prove myself. He said, for this I was born. Some play that he had decided to act out was being fulfilled, and he was gone. Now here's the deal. This comes from Emma Curtis Hopkins in High Mysticism. She says, one of the most ignored metaphysical laws is that we can say when we want the suffering to end. We can say when something should be finished. We're the ones that can say it's over. We're the ones that can say, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to play this game anymore. I am done. I've done this a few times. But the one that I was thinking about today is when I was looking for my cell phone and not even upset. I thought, God, I know you want me to continue working, and I need my cell phone. So thank you for allowing me to get this exercise, and I know I'll find my cell phone. But I was thinking about it because I am an Aries, and my birthday's in April, and it seemed like the month before my birthday, I would always go into a funk. And I was told that there was some sort of astrological thing happening, and it's just going to happen every year, that you're just going to go through a funk before your birthday when you're reborn. And trust me, I know, like Jerry Hudson and some others know what a funk I could get into. Kathy Lindsay, some others, because I would be calling them up. I was in the funk. And I remember it was about 2 years ago when I said, you know what? Why should I spend a month out of my life in some sort of esoteric funk? I'm so done with the funk. I'm done. And last year, I didn't really notice because I think most of 2020 was a funk. So I didn't notice it. But this year, I noticed. I haven't been crabby. I haven't been depressed. I haven't been... how many of you ever get into one of those self-analyzing pity parties? I wasn't doing that. I wasn't like, I should be better, I should be different, nothing. I realized that I'm out looking for my phone in 5 acres of grass, and I'm happy. That's a miracle. Because I'm done with funk. But for many years, many of my adult years, I went through that saying to myself it was making me stronger, better. I'm not sure it ever did. I think it just scared the people around me. How many of you know that you have something you put up with? Something that you put up with that you suffer with? Well, I want to suggest that perhaps tonight is the night to say, I'm done, it's finished. So to do that, we're actually going to do a little work. And I invite you to stand up if you're able. And I want you to think of something that you put up with courageously. You put up with it nobly. It's not really serving any purpose. You can't see at the end of it say, well, I'm a better person. You've just been doing it, like my funks. And I want you to have the opportunity to be done with it, so I want you to suffer. Spread your arms out. For those of you on the small phone, prop it up someplace. And put the arms out, and I want you to just notice that for a while, this isn't too bad. You can do it. We got our arms up, it's okay. And this is you putting up with it, whatever that is. And we do it because we're good people. We're on a spiritual path. There's a pony in this somewhere. And when it gets tiresome, and when you finally can't stand it any longer, when your arms are just tired and you'd really like to put them down, I want you to put them down, but I want you to put them down like this. I want you to say, this suffering, whatever you've been suffering with, it's finished. And when you put your arms down, I want you to believe that what you have been putting up with in your life and suffering over, it's done, it's finished. And now feel the relief. Feel the relief. Feel the relief. Shake out your hands. And since they're no longer here, they're free to be creative, they're free to cook. That's me mixing something. It's free to paint. You're free to write. Your hands are free. When we give up suffering, we gain freedom. See, there's a fact of life. Stuff happens. But according to the Buddha, suffering is optional. You may be seated. A long time ago, when I was suffering with something, I had a wonderful friend, Reverend Marcia Sutton. She said, you know, you're being crucified right now, because it was about other people. And she said, the good news is, the bigger the crucifixion, the greater the resurrection. I thought, sign me up. since it's happening anyway. Since it's happening anyway, I want to rise up. But what had to happen, she didn't tell me this part, is that I had to release something in me that I'd really outgrown, that I hadn't really let die yet. I think this story is really about something something we're willing to let go of so that something can rise up in its place. Tim has been spending, seems like weeks, cutting ferns like this. We have fields and we have ferns. That's what our property grows. Trees, field, grass, and ferns. I put bulbs in. They never come up. I mean, come on. Really? Ferns, though, look really good. But the reason that they look good is that Tim spends this time of the year cutting off all the old ferns, every frond, and they just look like not much. But then the growth is beautiful. They grow beautiful, and they're healthy, and they're exquisite in the way that they unfurl. I would probably just want it to just, continue on. Don't cut it back. But the cutting back actually helps it. How many of you are gardeners? Cutting back helps the new growth. But we do it for ourselves when we're willing to say, I'm going to let this go. I'm going to die to this. Now, back in the day, remember there was a day back in the day when we all got to, do stuff, I had people have two angels by them, and they'd stand with their knees against a chair, and they'd let themselves fall into the chair and say, I die to. And then when they gave a nod, the two other people would pull them up, let them be lifted into just a new experience. It's something about the body, getting the body involved, because the body thinks and the body holds memories. Getting the body involved is like turbocharging a spiritual practice. It's not just, I'm going to let this go. You really let it go. So how many of you know, now just let the Holy Spirit speak, how many of you know of something you need to let go of, that you need to have die in you? How many of you know something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, for those are the ones that are going to play then. So, and for those of you at home, this is serious. You want you to stand up. So those who want to play, stand up. And what I want you to do is to make sure that you have the chair solidly behind you. Knees to chair, okay? Because the way to best do this is to allow yourself to fall. Like, I'm dying to it, not, just sit. Not, wait. We're going to have a little sit music, a little Jewish sit music. But I want you in your mind to declare what you want to die to tonight. It might be judgment, might be worry, might be pessimism. It might be that I want to die to the idea that I can't do something, or die to the idea I'm too old. I'm dying to the idea I'm too old. Because frankly, I have a dream, and I know it's gonna be, I just need to share with you my dream. My dream is to compete at horse shows and win. And there's a part of me that says, Kathianne, you've started too late and you're way too old. And I think, I want to die to that. I mean, the horse does most of the work anyway. All I have to do is get on and balance and have core strength and all these things. Do you see what gets in the way of you living fully? And are you willing to have that die tonight? Then, if so, ready, set, die. And relax, lean back in the chair, become as quiet as possible, still. And if that is dead, if that is gone, if that is in the tomb, and that, the story is that Peter and John went into the tomb and all they found were the burial wrappings, and they were like folded. The old cloths, the old stuff stays in the tomb. It wasn't needed for the resurrected Jesus. We don't need that stuff. I don't need that idea. We don't need it. I want you to just imagine that whatever you died to is in a cave someplace, neatly wrapped up, because some of you do that, and that stays there. Just like the seed, after it is sprouted, and the green comes up into the light, and the roots go down into the earth, the seed stays there. It's no longer needed. It's gone. And then ask yourself, what do you want to rise up to? And when you feel that you could let that go, I want you to tell your body you've let it go by simply standing up. Simply stand. Let the Spirit of God rise you up, and LaVon's going to sing. You might become involved. For those of you at home, you got your whole living room. You got your bedroom. Come on.
Every anxious thought that steals my breath is a heavy weight upon my chest as I lie awake and wonder what the future will hold. Help me to remember that you're in control. You're my courage when I worry in the dead of night. You're my strength 'cause I'm not strong enough to win this fight. You are greater than the battle raging in my mind. I will trust you, Lord. I will fear no more. I will lift my eyes and lift my cares. Lay them in your hands and I'll leave them there. When the wind and waves are coming, you shelter me. Even though I'm in the storm is not in me. You're my courage when I worry in the dead of night. You're my strength 'cause I'm not strong enough to win this fight. You are greater than the battle raging in my mind. I will trust you, Lord. I will fear No power can overcome me, 'cause you've already won. No power can come against me, 'cause you have overcome. No power can come against me, 'cause you have overcome. No darkness can overwhelm me, 'cause you've already won. You're my courage when I worry in the dead of night. You're my strength, 'cause I'm not strong enough to win this fight. You are greater than the battle raging in my mind. I will trust you, Lord. I will fear no more. Whoa, 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 I will fear no more.
You know, I was just thinking that, you can sit down. I was just thinking if we let go of fear, a lot of that other stuff would just fall away. I was thinking, fear. I fear that I'll make a fool of myself. I fear that I won't succeed. I fear that I'll hurt myself. I'll fear that I'll look silly. But if I really let that die, then everything would just be an experiment. Just an experiment. What would the world be like if more people left fear in a tomb someplace and we weren't afraid of each other? We weren't afraid of people's opinions, and we weren't afraid that they wouldn't like us, and we weren't afraid to speak up, and we weren't afraid to run for office, and wow, what would the world be like? Well, this is Good Friday. Easter is actually a celebration of spring, because long before the story of the man named Joshua ben Yosef, long before that, people in the Northern Hemisphere were celebrating the earth coming back to life. So we'll be doing that on Easter. I hope that you can watch, invite some friends, have a hard-boiled egg. What a great brunch, hard-boiled eggs and chocolate. I hope that you have fun. It's good. I'm so grateful that the sun is up or out, and I think it'll be a nice day. Have a nice day on Easter. And this ends the story about Jesus. Except for whatever story you want to create in your own heart, because I know people that have different stories, and those stories work for them around that person. So have a story, make it powerful, make it rich, make it work for you. And as always, if you want to give a gift, we have a basket out right by the door. And what's so fun is we've got the little, fat-bellied Buddha over there saying, "I'll take your money, I'll take your money." It's like cute. But you don't have to. If you'd like to text to give or any of those other ways, especially if you're watching, there's so many ways. You could press a donate button on Facebook or live stream. Thank you for being here, and I hope that you got in the mood. I hope I could create the mood for you, and that you allowed what was happening to happen to you too. So let's just close with a prayer. Thank you, God, for this evening. Thank you, God, for the music and for the vibration and for people returning. You know, the grass is coming up, the birds are happening, and there's people in the room. Yay! I feel like the swallows. Isn't the swallows that go to Capistrano or whatever it is? Anyway, I feel like that. It's like, oh my goodness, they're starting to show up. Woo! Yay! This is a turning point, you guys. Feel it, be with it, and use it for your benefit. Use it. This energy is powerful. Use it. And so I speak my word that the power of God is within us. The power of God is around us. The power of God flows through us and to us and is the very life of our life. And we're letting that life make a beautiful grand turn into something lovely. It's a good Friday. And so it is.